What's approaching the supreme moment, reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead.
What's good? So I meant to do this last week with the actual day of the channel anniversary. However, stuff just kept piling up with work and life in general, so a little bit of a delay was put on the back burner a little bit, but just wanted to cover the questions that you guys asked, and as part of the second year channel anniversary, just kind of wanted to cover some of the questions, answer some more, I guess, personal questions than I typically talk about in videos. You know, that way, you know, you guys get to know a little bit more about me and all that good stuff. So this is really just going to be more or less audio, so treat this like kind of like listening to the radio. Just kind of play it in the background, whether you're grinding Dokkan Battle or just working on homework or whatever the case is. But this is going to be pretty much like a radio style format, exact same style that it was last year. So before we get into the actual questions, shout out to Isaac. Junkster Jones told me that the date when I actually started YouTube is the same as your birthday, so sorry for the delay. Again, there was a lot of stuff that happened this past week, but happy belated birthday to you. You got a good brother to kind of mention, you know, stuff like that about you, so happy belated birthday. Hope you had a good one. Alright, so I did try to break these out, and I'm not going to be able to answer all the questions, but I'm going to cover most of these as much as I can, and kind of sorted through, you know, the popular questions, the ones that you guys asked the most, and then kind of go into more of the unique and obscure type questions. So one of the big ones I got was, is Social Fire your girlfriend? And I'm gonna let Social Fire answer that one because I know she's doing a Q&A at some point, and I'm gonna let her handle that one. So be on the lookout for her Q&A, I guess, to get the answers on that one. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna leave you guys on a cliffhanger for that one. All right, the other one is this is actually another question asked by Lucas, and you know, if I'm ever gonna do a face reveal. Now, I covered this last year during the first year channel anniversary video too, but me personally, I don't ever plan on doing a face reveal. Whenever I started my channel, it was more or less, I kind of went in with that mentality of never, doing a face reveal. So as far as right now, and I don't see it changing in the future either way, yeah, I'm not going to be doing any sort of face reveal. Unfortunately, I know you guys want to see who I'm like and all that, but in this instance, it's not something that I've ever thought about doing, and I don't plan on doing it, so we'll leave it at that. Alright, next question, I guess similar to the first one. Where and when did you and Social Fire first meet up? This is from Santiago Ortiz. I actually met Social Fire at a bar one time, and we just kind of casually started talking about soccer and video games. That's kind of the extent of it. So without going into too much detail, that's kind of how it went down. Alright, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I really see a lot of these similar type of questions, like anime otaku. Pretty much that's the same thing. Social Fire your girlfriend, wife. And also if I went to college. And I'll go ahead and answer that now, since I think your pal Derpy asked the same question as well. Yeah, I've got both my bachelor's degree in business, and I do also have my master's degree. It's actually the MBA in international business. So I've done what I needed to do with college, and I don't plan on going back for any sort of higher education. I'm good with the master's, and it's helped me out a lot over the years in terms of finding the right type of job, advancing my professional career. So before I go on to the next question, I will say that education is very important. So for you guys that are in either college, high school, whatever the case is, and you're getting kind of numbed out by the overload of studying and all that good stuff, or should I say bullshit, just keep your head up. It's going to pay off in the long term. It's going to equate to opening up careers that you would have an interest in, basically. So it's important, even though at the end of the day it's only a piece of paper, it's very important to get a good education. So keep your head up on that one. Alright, Zach Awesome has asked that, will you and Social Fire do any summons or dokkan races against each other? So we've done summon videos, like dual summon videos in the past, and we'll definitely maintain doing that in the future as well. But I definitely do want to do dokkan races with her as well. I think it'll be pretty interesting, and yeah, we'll definitely do that. All right, let's go to the next set of questions. This is a pretty popular question too, and I've answered this last year, and a lot of you guys have joined over the course of 2018. So let me go ahead and answer this question as well. Legendary Artemis, what made you want to start a channel? I'll answer the first one and move on to the second question that you asked. So the simple answer to this is around, I guess, a little over 2 years ago now. Very, very stressful work environment in terms of, working long hours outside of your typical 8 to 5. A lot of workloads, a lot of assignments, deadlines, all that good stuff. And for me, my coping mechanism at the time was, for lack of better words, like a shit ton of drinking. I would drink throughout the week, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't say I was partying, but I'd be at the bars, drinking all that shit. And I needed to switch gears, you know what I mean? That wasn't a healthy lifestyle to have. So I decided to do a YouTube channel as kind of a personal project of mine, just to kind of give myself a way to distract myself from all the stressors and all that from work. So essentially that's really what it was. And I wasn't just limited to Dokkan Battle, and I'm sure I'll talk about this because there was another question about this later. But initially I was I wanted to start a channel mainly on Dokkan Battle, but also different games, games that I would typically play either periodically or often, whichever the case was. But I know right now it's predominantly Dokkan Battle, and we'll touch on some of the stuff later in the other questions that were asked. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially how it came about. Was I needed some sort of distraction from work because of all the stress going on, and it's been a very good experience so far. I wouldn't have met any of you guys without starting a channel, and I'm very grateful that you guys have joined the journey, and the channel has grown to this point. I mean, it's grown, up close to 34,000 subscribers within 2 years. I mean, that's a pretty tremendous achievement. So I'm definitely proud of that, and simply thanks to all you guys. So. All right, the next question was, would you collab with other big Dokkan YouTubers? I've never personally ruled this out. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is, again, the just rigorous work schedule of just constantly having, hours required outside of your normal 8 to 5, you know what I mean? So I don't really have the type of flexibility that I would like to have. And maybe in the near future that something like that might happen with collabs and whatnot. I mean, I've never ruled it out, but just haven't had the time or opportunity to do so, I guess. So Andrew Stormstalker asked a similar question. What inspired you to make Dokkan videos when you first started YouTube? So again, I did start YouTube just as a way to add another hobby, I guess. I needed a new hobby that would be enjoyable, and YouTube was probably one of my outs for that. And the reason why I chose Dokkan Battle is I was already playing Dokkan Battle pretty much every day, like just grinding at least daily, getting through at least the daily rewards and all that crap, and grinding all the story events and all that good stuff. But that was one thing that was a big part of my life already at that point. So I figured I'd make Dokkan Battle the central core of the channel, and that's kind of how it came about. All right, Bot08, what gave you the idea to start making Dokkan content? So pretty much the same question. Again, just Dokkan Battle was something I played on a regular basis, and if I was going to do YouTube, might as well do something related to the game. All right, what inspired you? So Zen Saiyan 4, what inspired you to do YouTube, and did you have a backup plan in case YouTube didn't work out? So again, I do work in the finance field. I have several years, and I'll talk about that because that's another question asked. But YouTube more or less is a hobby of mine. It's something that I took upon as a personal project, and a way to kind of challenge new things. Really, that's pretty much what it was. So my main job is obviously the work that I do on a during the day, basically, and then Dokkan Battle is more or less kind of a hobby that I do during my free time. Brave Blitz asked, what made you get into Dokkan? This is a very good question because I think a lot of you guys probably share the same answer as I do. So the reason why I got into Dokkan Battle is, for the longest time, there was not a single Android or mobile platform game that I could really get into. And I've looked up like Dragon Ball Z related, mobile games in the past, and none of them were any good. I mean, honestly, and so I think I installed what is that one shit, Temple Run or something, like back in the day, and I tried playing that, and it was fun for a little bit, and then after a week it just got boring and repetitive, so I quit playing. So yeah, it took some time, but I guess I looked it up one day and found out that there was in fact a Dragon Ball game, and downloaded it, and that's the end of the story. You know what I mean? Here we are today, and that was a point of no return at that point, I guess. So that is how I got into Dokkan. Okay, Lord Mogarin asks, what inspires you to continue to upload when you're not feeling up to upload, or even stream for that matter? Asking because I tend to have that problem with my own content sometimes. I feel you on that one. I'd be lying to you if I said there weren't days where I really didn't feel up for it, and just kind of wanted to chill, relax, and not do shit, like just lay around, not do a damn thing after work. But at the same time, I think it's become such a routine at this point where I don't feel good unless I get some sort of content up, you know what I mean? Like it's part of my routine, like, and I do enjoy making videos. So like, even when I'm eating lunch, for example, like during my lunch break or whatever, I'll start coming up with ideas on video content and stuff that I would want to do that I haven't done before, or certain units that I want to showcase that aren't really covered. That sort of stuff runs into my head a lot, and it's actually a big part of my life now. So, it's funny how things can change like that, but yeah, there are certainly days where I don't feel like doing it. And I guess in summary, you just kind of shake it off, dust it off, and just get it done. I mean, occasionally I'll take a day or so off and kind of relax and take a break, but for the most part I've been able to manage. I don't know if it's daily, but it's kind of scary to think about it now. I'm almost uploading content daily for almost 2 years straight. That's for the YouTubers that have been doing this for a lot longer, that's mad respect for that. It's definitely not easy, and I do get some laziness sometimes, especially after getting off work at 5 and just want to chill, and there are times like that for sure, but I think the biggest thing is just kind of keeping yourself motivated and make sure you kind of go through the motions and at least try and get some sort of content up. But I will say, in conclusion to that question, definitely don't, focus on quality versus quantity. I mean, that's probably one of the things I try to focus on is I'd rather get one good video up than, and instead of forcing it to happen, at least have some sort of good basis as to what kind of content you want to upload. So that'd probably be my biggest kind of takeaway from that. So again, Willie G and River Vilchik asked if I'm ever going to do a face reveal. Again, that's not something I plan on doing. I know you guys want to see my face. I've been asked this several times, but yeah, it's for right now, it's not going to happen. All right, so moving on to the next set of questions. Disconnected Ralo or Raylo, Bilal San and GR927 asked, these are all similar questions, so pretty much what do you do outside of YouTube? By the way, what is your main job? Have you got a job besides YouTube? So again, yeah, I do work in the finance field, and I've worked in this industry for quite a few years. I enjoy it. It's definitely a good career. So I do have the academic background for it, and kind of that led into entering the various positions that I've had within finance, and it's definitely a rigorous and high demanding, at times high stressing environments, but it's a good career to have, and you do have a future in it. So for those of you guys that are, studying school or trying to decide what to do career-wise, finance or business in general is definitely a good profession to be in. You get paid pretty well too, so it's definitely a good field to get into. All right, so let's move on. So Fazzy, why don't you play Legends? And quite a few likes on that question. Yeah, I did try playing Legends for a little while, and it's not necessarily the game itself, even though I wasn't as into it as I am with Dokkan Battle, but the biggest contributor to why I don't play Legends is really the restriction of time. I simply don't have time to play multiple games, and especially something like Legends where it's going to require some a certain amount of daily hours of playing. Like I just can't handle that. So that's probably a large reason as to why I don't play Legends. I mean, simply put, it's a pretty fun game, and again, there are some things where I wasn't really that into, but the biggest thing was just simply not having the time for it. Which leads me to the next question, and this is going to be counterintuitive, but the other question is, it would be fun to see you making content on other games too. And I have in the past, like XCOM, which is 1 and 2 are probably one of my favorite games of all time. It's that good. So I know I did videos in the past, and I've done other mobile games here and there. It's not something that I've never rolled out. Again, time is the biggest issue for me, but I definitely do plan on playing other games, and I've thought about 1 or 2 games that I'm currently thinking about uploading content on for my channel. So that's definitely in the works, and I definitely do want to play other games. Like Resident Evil 2 Remake is happening very soon, and that growing up was one of my favorite, and is still one of my favorite games of all time. So I definitely do want to play Resident Evil 2 when it comes out on the 25th. That's definitely something I want to play. Definitely want to play the Fist of the North Star, Lost Paradise. That's something I want to play too. So there's a lot of things I want to play. Just don't have the time for it. Same thing with Dragon Ball Xenoverse. 715410G asked me that, and it's just I played the first one, and I still have it on my Steam, but it's definitely just tough finding the time for it. Top 10,000. Are you going to play other mobile games like once a week? And that's probably the schedule that it's going to be on. It's probably going to be once a week. It's going to be Dokkan for the most part. Just want to keep that as the main channel, just to not veer off into a different direction. But I do want to play different games, and I think Yusuf asked me something similar too. Is do you think that if and when you'll get on console, that you'll be playing through games that aren't just Dragon Ball or Jump Force, maybe games like Dark Souls series or Fortnite? I don't know about necessarily Dark Soul or Fortnite, but I definitely do want to play other games and start uploading content on that. Same thing, Lancy Busalati. Do you plan streaming other games outside of Dragon Ball video games? Yeah, that's in the works, and I'm planning on doing that. A lot of you guys that actually asked that question. Zach Awesome asked me the same one. Will you do any other gameplay of games? So, yeah, that's something that'll definitely be happening. Just have to find the time for it. So, yeah, that's the biggest thing. All right, moving on to the next set of questions. AGaming047. How long did it take to learn Japanese? So, I think I clarified this a couple times, but I know a lot of people have joined the channel, over the course of time, and you might not always hear about it. So originally I am from Japan. I am Japanese, 100% pure breed. Just kind of happened to live between US and Japan growing up. Currently, I do live in the US, but that's pretty much why I know Japanese is in short, I was born from there. So I do want to keep going with the Japanese lessons and, try and incorporate ways. I'm not a teacher or anything, but I do want to, at least try and help you guys learn. So, hopefully that does help, and we do kind of get on a routine about it. So, How did you learn Japanese? Dris MDR. So pretty much I am from Japan, Japanese, kind of, just came about living there, I guess. Marcel, what's the biggest difference you've noticed between Japanese culture and American? That's actually a good question, but a tough question. I don't know if this is related to culture, and this is going to be a little bit biased, but I feel like the food tastes better in Japan. I feel like there's a little bit more qualitative focus on food over there. And don't get me wrong, like the food in the United States is great. I mean, I love this shit here, but maybe it's also nostalgia. I don't know. Whenever I go visit Japan, it just happens to taste better, just because I don't eat it often, maybe. But that definitely does seem to me, and maybe it's my preference too. Just I love Japanese food, because I am Japanese, I guess. But it just seems to taste better. The other thing, I mean, growing up, the educational system's definitely a little bit different. I don't know how things are in Japan right now, but at least for me growing up, things were definitely a little bit different. There wasn't honestly, you can't fail a grade. Back when I was in school, you couldn't fail a grade in Japan. Like, you would just progressively move up. So unless they really want to scale you back, I mean, you just keep, if you're behind, you just keep getting further and further behind. That's one of the drawbacks with that. But as far as I know, that's one of the big differences. I guess in relation to that, the other thing too is in Japan there's such a thing as juku, which is after school study seminars, I guess is the best way to put it. You would basically go study at some sort of, it's actually ran by a business, like a company, but they have seminars covering whatever topics of whatever level you're at, like grade level and all that, and you would actually study for a few extra hours just so you'd be on top of your things. Japan is different in terms of high school is actually not mandatory over there. So and the placement exams, like, again, this is based on my own personal experience, and things that might have changed by now, but middle school and high school, you could actually go to private schools, and you would actually need to take entrance exams, and based on the requirements, I think it was like the top percentile would only make it in. So you spend like the last year of middle school and high school really studying for trying to get into the school of your choice, and that's pretty much how the entire year is spent. So there are a lot of differences with Japanese and American culture. On top of my head, that's all I can think of, but there are definitely and certainly a lot more than that. Any other languages you would like to learn? So this is a question from Andres. I would actually love to learn German, since Social Fire is fluent with that. Maybe she'll teach me some at some point. I actually took a couple of semesters of Russian back in college, but never used it and didn't pursue it further, so I completely forgot it. So that's something I'd like to get back into. I did take French back in the day, like 5 or 6 years worth, but I haven't used it since, so I pretty much don't remember any of it. I wish I did, but yeah, definitely German. Russian would be pretty cool. Like maybe Portuguese. I would love to learn Spanish too. I mean, it's a pretty, it'd be very useful in the US to know Spanish, but Portuguese would be pretty cool. I have some friends out in Brazil, and it's a cool language. So those are probably examples of languages I would like to learn. Okay, let's. I know this is dragging out. This is longer than I thought it would be, but again, just treat it like a radio session. You're kind of listening to me in the background while you do other things. Otherwise, you'd probably be bored to death, honestly. Retro Shark 360. Will you do dokkan summons with any YouTubers down the road? Let's see, D-Free, Truth Nano, Rhyme, etc. Again, I've never ruled this out. I think the biggest obstacle with all this in the past, and it'll probably be going forward, is just the time and availability of when to schedule stuff like this. I mean, it's definitely, working in the field that I do, it's I mean, it's up and down, it's things can change in an instant, so it makes things difficult, but maybe down the road something like that will happen. So Legacy AMV asked the same question: do you plan on doing any collabs with other YouTubers? So I haven't necessarily ruled it out, so it might happen, down the road. Who knows? We'll have to figure that one out. Okay, Sauce Boy 6 billion. Why do you always sound like you have a cold? 5 likes on that one. Last time I took a screenshot of it. I don't know. I mean, do I sound like I have a cold? Maybe so. I've heard this a lot in the past, so I don't know. This is the way I speak. I'm not, this ain't theatrics or anything, you know what I mean? This is how I talk, so I can't do anything about it. Maybe I do have a permanent cold, and that's why I talk like this. Alright, Moo, I'm a horse. What category team do you find underwhelming, and which category team do you consider absolutely broken, if any? Let's start with the easier question. I think the Movie Boss category is definitely one of the best, if not the best category in the game. I mean, hands down, this is probably my favorite. Most Malevolent Clan is definitely a pretty good one, and I wouldn't really consider it broken, but it's definitely a very powerful one. Underwhelming, I'm trying to think, and I don't want to pick out the easy answers either, you know what I mean? And I'd have to kind of think about all this stuff. The Time Travelers category, they definitely do need to upgrade or at least include more units. It's fine as a category. I mean, you could definitely make a pretty solid team, but I think it could be better. I think it could be a lot better. This isn't related to underwhelming, but a category that needs to fucking happen that hasn't, and I don't know why, is a Z Fighters category. Just either put in a Z Fighters category or an actual Dragon Ball Saga category, so we can actually run good teams within those niche type of categories. I would love to run a Z Fighter category and have Yamcha whoop ass with 200% leader boosts and all that good shit. Dragon Ball Saga, I would love to use what's his face, Android 8, and what's the other dude, the Native Americans, Upa, right? And I can't remember the dad's name, but man, that kind of stuff would be fun. I mean, as a fan of Dragon Ball, I think seeing units like that, not just as an item, would make things very interesting. I mean, imagine whooping ass through the toughest Dokkan events with that kind of team. It'd be a lot of fun. Out of every category, so this is Goblin, I'm not gonna say that word, Slayer. Out of every category in the game, which top 3 are your favorites? Definitely Movie Bosses. Super Saiyan 3 was up there, but I think a lot has changed since then. Most Malevolent Clan is definitely within top 3. The other one, Movie Hero is actually a pretty fun team, fused with Fusion, no pun intended on that one, but those 3 are definitely very fun to run. I mean, I do like other categories too, and this is basically on top of my head, and I'm sure I'm not thinking about it thoroughly, but definitely Movie Bosses is my favorite category right now. Favorite fight in Dragon Ball franchise, so this is from Cosmin Ionita. Favorite fight, there's so many. I'm gonna have to throw this one back, and this might surprise you guys, but I actually love the fight between Kid Goku and Mercenary Tao. Growing up reading that fight was probably, I don't know, I enjoyed that whole series. I really did, and Mercenary Tao was somewhat of a realistic character. At that point, it was something that some individual that could have potentially existed in the real world, you know what I mean? So in that regard, he was kind of a ruthless, standard, exemplified of a villain, you know what I mean? And ruthless, he's a asshole, and what got me the most about him was the negotiating the contract killing, the killer contract with the general, and he's talking about, the initial price was too high, and then it's well, you're in luck because this is my 20th year anniversary as a professional hitman, so you get half off this time, it was he had a campaign going on or something, so, he's definitely a cool villain. I did like that. So, I don't know, there are others, but the most memorable one for me is definitely Kid Goku against Mercenary Tao. Favorite fan manga for Dragon Ball, this is asked by the Omega. I actually haven't really come across fan manga. I know there are a bunch that exist, so If you have any recommendations, definitely let me know. I'm certainly willing to check those out. I just haven't happened to read any of it at this point in time. So if you have any recommendations, definitely let me know. So Zebra, what is your favorite OG LR? You know what? I'm gonna have to agree with this with Social Fire. Ever since LRs got announced, and especially this one, LR Trunks is definitely probably my favorite OG LR. That was actually the first summonable LR that I picked up. And the reason why I say that is the introduction of the character was phenomenal. The way he was introduced, when you see the feet pop in to the frame, and then Mecha Frieza and King Cold are in the picture, and just that whole transition of where things went after that. Android Saga is actually pre-Cell, and I'm talking about Dr. Gero and his clown ass sidekick, but that was actually one of my favorite sagas in the series. So Trunks is also very cool, very very cool character overall, and the card itself, the LR card portrays that iconic scene. So definitely probably my favorite OG LR unit. Carlos Avalos, do you live a happy life or not? I think I live a pretty happy life. I don't know. I guess in line with me sounding like I have a cold, maybe I sound what's the word, monotone, right? That's something I get a lot. Is I'm not overly hyped up, and all that. And besides, the summoning live stream with Gogeta Blue and Broly, I'm usually pretty cool and relaxed or whatever. That's just the way I am, I try to carry myself the way that I actually am in real life. So what you guys hear is pretty much me 100%, you know what I'm saying? So I just tend to have that kind of demeanor, I guess. Favorite Dragon Ball character, any series? This is from Abel Ramirez. So favorite character, this list could go on, but in summary, you guys know Perfect Cell is definitely one of my favorite characters, especially villains. Even Frieza, back then, the guy was a menace. He was ruthless. He was a really bad man. You know what I'm saying? Like the quotes, back in the day is, I'm gonna slowly beat you all to death. The guy was a killer. But in addition to that, Piccolo's definitely a favorite of mine. He's one of those that really has that intelligence factor, but also keeps it real. I think for me, I'm drawn to characters that have a high level of intelligence, rationale about it, logical, but also powerful. So those are the types of characters that I'm drawn to, and all the ones that I've listed previously are examples of that. So I think I'm most drawn to those types of characters, and not typically those that are drawn, by emotions and take actions accordingly. I like the rationale behind some of these characters. All right, Anthony Magana, who do you prefer, Vegito or Gogeta, and why? And which do you prefer, DBZ, Super, GT, Sub, or Dub? I don't know. This could spark a whole debate, but honestly, I have more clear memory with Vegito, and my favorite Dragon Ball Caldas trading card is actually of the Vegito Spirit Sword. So definitely have a lot more fond memories with him. I did see... Gogeta is also very, very iconic as well, but I think personally between the two, in terms of nostalgia, definitely Vegito. And that's my honest opinion. Which I prefer, Dragon Ball Z, Super, GT. All these I have very good memories with growing up. I might get some heat for this, but the first one I would eliminate is Super. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy Super, but I don't have quite a connection that I do with Dragon Ball Z and GT. I literally grew up on this shit. I spent days of my life watching the anime or reading the manga or whatever. There's a lot more years tacked on to that connection. You know what I mean? So obviously Dragon Ball Z would be the biggest preference of mine, but I mean, GT, I have a lot of fond memories. As much as that as much as that series gets hate, I mean, I don't necessarily hate GT. I had a lot of fond memories with it, so I have nothing really against it. Sub or dub, definitely sub. Because I'm fluent in Japanese and I grew up in it, I just can't watch anything outside of the original audio. All right, Manual Gamer, what is your favorite card on Dokkan Battle? Favorite card is the Extreme Intelligence Perfect Cell unit. The second favorite is Great Brilliance, the Strength Spirit Bomb Goku unit. Now, those are based on card art itself. Now, if we're talking about functionality and practicality, I would definitely say the Agility Turles unit is definitely probably my favorite card right now. The Agility Metacooler is also very up there. He's definitely a favorite of mine. So I mean, yeah, I mean that's probably, in summary, that's probably my favorite card right now. Favorite saga. So and this is by King Jojo Castillo. Favorite saga. Honestly, I'm gonna say Android. I did like the Cell saga. I mean, I did love the Frieza saga or Namek saga. But I think Android, when they first appeared into the town, you know, that was kind of all the way from the introduction of Mecha Frieza and King Cold up to the end of the Android. I think it was probably my favorite section of the manga and anime. Jiren asks, who's your favorite DBZ villain and who is your favorite DBZ character? So I've covered the villain. Perfect Cell is definitely a favorite of mine. Vegeta, when he was a villain, was actually a very good villain in my opinion. Just kind of bare bones, you know, living as with only the necessities kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like living as a Saiyan, and I can respect that. You know what I mean? So I did have some interest with that. Favorite DBZ character, you know, I mean Piccolo was also a very good character. I mean, he's still probably one of my favorites still. You know, I love the progression of character development within Dragon Ball, and I don't really get that outside of Fist of the North Star. I've never connected as much as I have with Dragon Ball, you know, with any other manga or anime. So probably in summary, that's probably it. Box Chronicle asks the same. Who's your favorite DBZ villain? Again, the list could go on. I mean, Frieza, I agree with you. Like, Frieza is definitely a very good character, and let alone villain. He was your typical expansionist, ruthless emperor. I mean, that is such a good attribute to have as a villain. So he was very ruthless too. So yeah, he was very well written in my opinion. But I do like Perfect Cell a lot, just because the demeanor, just the overall way he carried himself was definitely good in my opinion. Kauku 45, what's the most slept on Dokkan unit in your opinion? And I don't know how long this has dragged out so far. It's probably a long, yeah, already in 40 minutes. I don't know how many of you guys are listening to the whole thing, but most slept on Dokkan unit in my opinion. The one that comes to mind, and I recently did a showcase, was the Tech Final Form Cooler unit. I don't really know if I would consider him the most slept on unit. I think the Tech Feature Gohan is slept on, but I don't think he's exceptional, you know what I mean? He's good, but I wouldn't say everybody should rainbow that guy, you know? I'm trying to think on top of my head, because I don't have the game opened up right now to kind of look it up, but I'm really trying to think this one through. I don't know. I like on the top of my head, I think that's really what it comes down to. Like I don't want to waste any more time thinking about it, because I'm like trying to go back to like my entire deck, you know, looking through my library in my head, trying to visualize what units I had and, you know, which ones that I consider slept on. I'm sure there are a lot. I just can't remember anything right now, so I'll have to get back to you on that one. So Giuseppe Gervasio, the the 5 Dokkan Fest exclusives you want to see in 2019. Well, this could open up a whole different conversation. I could do a whole separate video on this one. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. There's so many options, right? So many options. God, Dokkan Fest exclusives that I would like to see. I would really love to see like some older units come back. Like, I don't know if I would consider this Dokkan Fest, but like a good mercenary Tau unit, like Android 8, like I don't even know. I wish they would bring back the Arara banner and actually update it to be maybe a brand new Dokkan Fest or something. I'm trying to not think of too much stuff that people expect to happen, you know what I mean? Like, I still feel like as good as the EZA was for Piccolo, it didn't quite do it justice to the level that I wanted to see. I think they could do something very good with Piccolo that they haven't done yet. And I wish they would. And that's probably not a popular opinion, but that's my opinion nevertheless. I think they should come out with a better Ubu unit, or Majubu, I guess it's called in the US or whatever. And that could certainly happen with the, I mean, it's 4-year anniversary. It looks to be themed around GT anyway. Super Baby 2 is probably, Super Baby or Baby 2 is probably going to happen. It's probably going to be a Dokkan Fest unit at some point. It's probably not going to be the main featured unit, but it'll probably be one of the units. I'm trying to think of what else. Maybe I'll actually do a video on this once I actually think about it. So we'll put that on the back burner for now. All right, I think I've covered most of this, right? Some of these are like, you know, Godly Nipple Hair, favorite fight. Angelo Matt asked, you know, favorite Dragon Ball villain and why. It's Akito, favorite character in their moments. I think I've already covered this for the most part, so I'm not necessarily going to answer these again. But T Wood, what's going to happen to all of us when Dokkan Battle shuts down? That's going to be a very, very sad day. I don't even want to think about that. But if it does, I don't know if you guys will get this reference, but on the movie The Truman Show, at the very end when the show ends, and spoiler alert, I guess, but you know, the security guards watching it are like, so what the hell do we do now? And the other guy's like, well, just look at the TV guide, find something else. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen to us. We'll just find something else to move on to. Now, the people that dropped a shit ton of money on this game, I'm sure there's going to be a recovery hangover session for quite some time, considering how much some of these people spent on the game. But you know, hopefully it's not going to shut down for a long time. Hopefully that's the case, right? But I think this covers most of the questions. Again, I know this is a very long video. I didn't expect this to be a podcast style of session. I was trying to compress this to less than 30 minutes, but it went well over that amount. But for those that definitely stuck around, I mean, definitely appreciate you sticking all the way to the end. Hopefully you were doing other things while you were listening to this podcast style radio session. But again, we'll do this probably once a year, every year, and hopefully, you know, the channel continues to grow. I do want to take this time though to thank each and every one of you. You know, I can't always respond to every single comment on every single video, but hey, you guys mean a lot to me. I appreciate all the support you've continued to show me in the channel. Hopefully that is the case going forward. And you know, if you guys have any ideas or suggestions on what kind of new content you want to see and what adjustments I can make, you know, certainly let me know. I'm always available on Twitter, Instagram. It might take me some time to respond, but you know, I try to respond as much as I can. Yeah, I definitely appreciate all you guys. Thanks a lot. You know, we made it through the second year, hopefully many years to come, but hopefully you enjoyed this radio session with the Q&A, and we'll do one again next year. All right, I'll see you guys. Peace.